The last couple of nights have been quite chilly again. It's gone below zero. It's reminded me what it was like in my first few weeks living in my little van. And I thought it was a good opportunity to share with you some details about how I stay warm at night. So first of all, this is my bed. I have a really nice snuggly duvet. It is a 10.5 TOG one. I know some people use sleeping bags. I find sleeping bags a bit claustrophobic, and I just love having a whole duvet. My bed is actually a single bed width, but this is a double duvet that I used to have on my double bed when I had a flat, and I like having the extra duvet. It gives me lots to curl up in. It means when I turn over at night, there's always going to be enough behind my back that I don't get super cold. So that is my main way of staying warm. Next up, I have this clever little control here. I don't use this overnight, but this is the control for my diesel heater, which is really useful if it's super cold in the evening. I will use this before I get washed and stuff for bed, so that the van is warm, the air is warm before I get into bed, and then I'll turn it off and I'm fine overnight. I have also been known to click it on for about half an hour in the morning when it's super cold, just to warm things up to help me get out of bed. Otherwise, I might stay in bed all day. Next up, I have a teddy bear blanket. So this lays on top of my bed at night. I've had this for absolutely years. It is not looking amazing these days, but it is just surprisingly warm. So next, I have something that goes under my duvet, but over my body, and that is a sleeping bag liner. This is a silk sleeping bag liner. I have had it since I was about 16, I think, and started trekking and did a trip to the Andes in Peru, which was super cold and needed an extra layer in my sleeping bag. I still got very cold at night, but this gives me an extra probably couple of degrees of comfort. It's quite wide in shape, so I don't feel as claustrophobic as I do in an actual sleeping bag. So it actually packs down into this really little snug thing. So if you are someone that camps and treks and stuff, a sleeping bag liner, I would say, is just amazing. Sometimes even in April it snows on me, so it's quite important to keep warm overnight. Next up, I have my hot water bottles. So I actually have two. I have a little one here. If you've seen one of my first videos, the video from my first week of van life, you'll see this is the one that actually leaked. It used to be at the foot of my bed and leaked. It does seem that it was just that it wasn't done up properly, so I have used it since. And this is just a really big one. This, if I fill this with almost boiling water, or take about a litre, it will stay warm all night. So when it is really cold, this is just amazing. If I've got it close to my body all night, it will still be warm in the morning, which I just think is amazing. You'll see this is full of water. I haven't actually used it for a few days, but because I have small water tanks in my van and getting fresh water can sometimes be a challenge at the moment, I just leave this full of water, because then I've always got water if I want to heat it up, rather than having to use up any of my drinking water. Hot water bottles are the way to go. So next up, it's about what I wear. So I have really fluffy socks, and I keep these on my feet every night. This is actually two old pairs of socks that I stitched together. Fluffy socks, an essential. So I use a thermal top that has a hood, so it keeps my head warm at night. Whew. So these hooded tops, I have two of these. They have a hood and a bit that comes sort of up. You can actually put it up over your mouth and nose if you want to, which I only do when it's super cold, because that will get damp, but it means it keeps my neck warm. My neck does not like getting cold. It keeps the top of my head warm. I'm not great at wearing a hat at night because they just fall off, or my head feels really squidged under a tighter hat. And these thermals, I think, actually came from Lidl years ago. When it's really, really cold, I will put a thin thermal layer underneath, or I've got a small jumper that I've worn over the top as well. I think the most I got to was 3 layers. And then I have thermal trousers. So again, I have multiple pairs of these. These ones are actually from Mountain Warehouse. I have a really expensive, well, quite expensive pair of thermals I bought quite a few years ago for sleeping in my hammock outside. I don't think they're that different. I don't find that I find these work just as well and were a lot cheaper. So I don't think you have to go super expensive with thermals for them to work. So thermals are essential. What layers you have on underneath the duvet and things when it's really cold are really key for staying warm. while I have my hand here, you'll see these. When it's really cold, I do also wear these mittens, and I do have some fingerless gloves that I will put on underneath sometimes. These mittens were actually made by my sister-in-law's mother, so thank you, Dale, for making me these years ago. So last night I had these on because it was a bit chilly, and when it gets really cold I will put full gloves on if I need to. So the only other things I really think about with staying warm is making sure I go to bed warm. So I've mentioned that I will, if it's really cold, I will put my heater on in the evening. I always wash with some warm water. I make sure I've got warm water. I like to wash before I go to bed. So if I make sure the air's warm, I make sure I stay warm so I get into bed warm. The one time that I've gone to bed cold because I'd been outside trying to take photographs of the stars late at night and I didn't realize it wasn't that cold. I didn't realize how cold my body had got. That was the one time I couldn't warm myself back up and I had to actually get out and heat up water for a hot water bottle and things. So going to bed warm is really important. I have not once woken up cold in the middle of the night here, and I know what that feels like. I've slept in tents in the mountains, and I know how it is to either not be able to sleep because you're too cold or wake up in the middle of the night cold and then you never properly get back to sleep. And when you're too cold to actually, some of you might know this, when you're too cold to actually like wake up enough to even go, have I got something else I can put on me? Or when you've literally already got all your layers on, everything. I've slept in a sleeping bag with a towel wrapped around my legs because it was the last layer I had and I was too cold. So that has never happened to me here. I think I've got the balance right with what I need to stay warm. The other thing I do is usually try and have a warm meal. So again, it's about warming your body up, but also your body, when it's digesting food, will generate heat. I try not to drink too much water in the evening if it's cold. I'm usually someone that drinks a lot of water, so I will alter what time of day I drink a lot of water if I know it's cold overnight, because the last thing I want is to be waking up in the middle of the night, needing to get out of bed when it's just too cold, because then getting warm again it's just harder. And the idea of getting out of bed to go and pee, it's just not great. So I tend to drink less late in the evening. I also wouldn't drink alcohol if it's really cold. I don't drink alcohol that often anyway, living in the van, but I wouldn't do it if it's cold because that will actually cool your body down and you're more likely to need to get out to pee. So those are all the things I do to stay warm. If you've got other tips and tricks that work for you, then please drop a comment below. If you haven't done any of this stuff before and are looking at doing it and want tips, then I hope this has been helpful, and let me know if it has.